Yes, immigrant, non-immigrant visa interviews at the US Embassy, US Consulate. This is what we are going to discuss about. But before I continue, please subscribe. It's very, very important. Okay, you subscribe and you make sure that you click on that button there. It looks like a little bell. Okay, so please do that because it's important for me. I'm very proud to say that the channel is getting good momentum. So I would like you to actually kind of support us by clicking on that, and it helps us kind of it gives us more courage, give me more courage to make those videos. For a while I've not been doing a lot of videos. I was kind of posting stuff with just my voice, but I realized that a lot of people want to see a person talking to them instead just of a voice. And here we go. You see me, I've changed a little bit with the gray beard and everything, but still me, Sharp Raleigh. And again, for those who don't know me, I'm a lawyer in the Bay Area, California. I've been practicing immigration law almost for 19 years. And we have a very good track record when it comes to immigration, especially employment-based immigration. And this is very important because you want to get a lawyer who has experience with all the stuff. I've handled many, many cases, done thousands and thousands of consultations. And if you look at the reviews for us, we're pretty good. We're not perfect, but we're pretty good. So let us go dig into directly to the issue that we are talking about, the non-immigrant visa interviews. Let's start with the H1B visas. Once you get your H1B approved, the 797, and you're outside the United States, or you are traveling outside, you will have to go for what we call the visa stamping. The purpose of the stamp is to bring you to the airport, and at the airport, the US immigration officer decides if they will let you in. One rule: just having a stamp on your passport doesn't guarantee you an entry. Now, we go a little bit back. Before you even get that stamp, there's a process to be made. The first step of the H1B, of course, is done by the Department of Homeland Security. This is where the lawyer applies for you, and then you get that approval notice, which we call the 797. It's either 797A or B. It doesn't matter, because if you are traveling outside, you need to have the stamp. If you don't have it, you will have to get one. As I mentioned, the stamp allows you to come to the airport. So what do you do when you go to the counter? Unless it's a Dropbox will usually apply when you already have been in the same job, same company, etc. You're renewing. Usually Dropbox, you drop it and you wait, they give it to you back. But Dropbox is becoming a problem in India because there's such a long delay as we speak. As per today, September 29, 2022. It's a long delay. We are talking about a delay almost 6 to 8 months. Unless, of course, I mentioned that earlier, some people are going to some agents. I don't know really how they're doing it, but they're getting earlier appointments. But that's a different story. Now, what can you expect at the interview? The interview is pretty much straightforward. First rule, number one, tell the truth. You don't want to lie there. However, when you're telling the truth, doesn't mean you volunteer information. A lot of people confuse the truth and spitting everything from whatever they have inside. That's not the way you answer a question, right? When you go to answer a question, if I ask you, for example, what did you eat today? You don't tell me, okay, I woke up at 5, I took a shower, I had some tea, then I made breakfast, and with that breakfast there was eggs. You could have just answered eggs and toast, right? So that's exactly where people make mistakes. They answer too long when they don't have to. The only time you give a long answer is when the answer requires an explanation. Okay? So make your answer short. That's rule number one. Rule number two, you make sure that you have all your documents with you. I should say rule number two, not like that. Okay, so rule number two, you should bring all your documents, the originals of your birth certificate, your certificates from school, and things like that. You have to bring the originals. And it's a good idea to bring a copy in case the officer needs an extra copy. You don't bother them to go and make a photocopy and come back. Okay, that's rule number two. Rule number 3, if you are having problems with the company or your company has terminated you, you better not go for that interview with that company. And that's rule number 3, right? Don't go for the interview if you are not sure the company is supporting you. Because many people get their H1B, especially during the pandemic. They didn't come to the United States and then suddenly they decide to come. And guess what? They didn't inform the company or anything. And when the State Department, by the way, the US Consulate is under the State Department, Department of State, they call the employer supposedly, and they say no, we don't want him anymore because there's no more job. He didn't come when we asked him to come, or there was COVID or whatever. You're going to have another problem. Now, rule number 4, make sure you bring a copy of the letter of employment. Although you have your petitioner's letter, bring a current letter of employment confirming your job, because that will make things a lot easier for you. Number 5, whatever you bring, don't bring anything that is compromising to you. Okay, I repeat that, which means you don't want to bring documents that you're not sure of or which have been faked. Okay. Number 6, answer the question just like the first number 1, truthfully, which means you don't go into things that are not true just because you heard someone on a forum say it. Okay. And that's one thing that I really get irritated, because I had people who go there and they're being asked, have you paid for that H1B? And they say yes, because on a forum someone said, oh, everybody pays for it. No, first of all, you don't pay for those. Those are paid by the employers, okay? And if you go and tell that, it makes your case worse and you will never come here, because it will be obviously fraud. So don't go there and make up stuff. Just tell the truth. Like number 1, stick to the truth. The truth shall set you free, right? Now number 7, when you go to the US Embassy, doesn't mean that for sure, even you have all of the above that I mentioned, doesn't mean they will give you your visa. I repeat that. Just because the company, everything is good, doesn't mean they will give it. But usually in those cases, they don't deny you the visa. They will issue something called a 221G form, which is under INA, Immigration Nationality Act 221 G like George. Okay? It is an administrative processing. Usually it can, I talked about that in another video, but I'll talk again about it later. It can be 3 types, right? It can be just a simple one, which will take around a couple of months. It can be just because they need some time to review. Or it can be a denial one, where basically they will send the case back to the Department of Homeland Security to be reconsidered. And again, remember, we're talking about H1B here. Department of Homeland Security and State Departments are involved. So what happens there is, you should not panic because you got that. Unfortunately, because they have so many cases to handle, it's becoming hard for them to actually get all of this process quickly. So don't lose patience. And of course, if you need help, call us 510-742-5887. I'll be glad to go over things with you on a consultation, or ultimately handle your case. Now, number 8, which is basically what many people do when they go for their interviews, they do not cater to what the officer is asking. Okay, and that goes to the rule I mentioned earlier, where basically people will make up things, or people will go all over the place to answer something that they have not been asked, and that irritates the officer. Okay, so be to the point and make sure that you don't overdo, but you don't also leave them hanging. Okay, that's probably rule number 8. There are many other rules. Now let us now go into the types of questions you can get. I will make another video on the types of questions, because right now already it's a little bit a longer video. So I want to keep it short so that people can really kind of pay attention to what I'm saying, because those small things will make a difference between getting a visa or not getting it. So please subscribe to the channel, share that video and like it, and I will put more as we go. Thank you.